A chocolate chip cookie bends, a biscotti could probably break a window, and somehow both begin with flour, sugar, and eggs. So, what turns the same basic ingredients into something soft, sticky, creamy, delicate, or dangerous to weak dental work? We are breaking open 10 of the world's most famous cookies to discover what creates their flavor and texture. You will see why Oreo filling is not ordinary cream, why a Stroopwafel belongs on top of your coffee, and which cookie must be folded within seconds before it becomes a useless cracker. But first, let's open the cookie built entirely around contrast. An Oreo combines two dry, dark cocoa wafers with an extremely sweet white center. The cocoa is alkalized, creating a deeper color and smoother, less acidic flavor. And that famous filling is not whipped dairy cream. It is mainly sugar and vegetable fat, basically frosting wearing a seat belt. The cookie works because every part fights the other. Bitter against sweet, dry against smooth, black against white. Dip it in milk and the wafers absorb moisture. Wait too long, however, and your drink claims the cookie as its own. Chocolate chip cookies can be thin, crunchy, thick, soft, or so underbaked they are still emotionally attached to the dough bowl. Much of the difference comes from sugar. White sugar encourages spreading and crispness. Brown sugar contains molasses, which holds moisture and creates a chewier center. Butter matters too. Melted butter produces a denser cookie, while creamed butter traps air. So when a cookie bends instead of snaps, that is not luck. It is ingredient engineering disguised as a snack. Biscoff tastes caramelized, but there is no soft caramel hiding inside. Its flavor comes from sugar browning during baking, combined with cinnamon and other warm notes. The cookie is thin and contains little moisture, which creates its famous sharp snap. Its shape also gives it plenty of browned surface. That is why it works so well beside coffee, and why crushing it into cheesecake feels strangely natural. Then someone turned it into cookie butter, which means humanity successfully found a way to spread cookies onto other cookies. Traditional shortbread needs only flour, sugar, and a heroic amount of butter. There is normally no egg and very little to make it rise. The butter coats the flour and limits gluten formation. Instead of stretching or chewing, the cookie breaks into soft, sandy crumbs. That is what bakers mean by a short texture. The simple recipe leaves nowhere for weak ingredients to hide. Good butter tastes rich and clean. Bad butter tastes like disappointment shaped into a rectangle. A Stroopwafel sandwiches sticky syrup between two thin waffle cookies. Cold, the center is dense and chewy. Warm, it becomes soft and aromatic. That is why people place one over a hot cup of coffee or tea. Rising heat softens the syrup, while the outside stays slightly crisp. But timing matters. Leave it there too long, and your elegant Dutch ritual becomes a cookie rescue operation. The waffle pattern also traps syrup in tiny pockets, ensuring every bite is sweet, sticky, and mildly threatening to dental fillings. A French macaron uses almond flour, powdered sugar, and whipped egg whites. The egg whites trap air, while careful folding creates a smooth batter. Fold too little, and the shells keep strange peaks. Fold too much, and they spread into colorful almond puddles. During baking, pressure lifts the shell and forms the ruffled edge known as the foot. A good macaron is crisp outside, soft inside, and slightly chewy. It is beautiful, delicate, expensive, and capable of ruining a baker's entire afternoon over one badly whipped egg white. Gingerbread gets its dark flavor from spices and ingredients such as molasses. Ginger, cinnamon, cloves, and nutmeg create warmth, while molasses adds color, moisture, and a slightly bitter sweetness. But baking time decides its final personality. Bake it briefly and it stays soft. Bake it longer and it becomes strong enough to support a roof. Too much spreading can also transform a carefully shaped gingerbread person into something resembling a small sofa. This may be the only cookie family with both a dessert division and a construction division. A fortune cookie begins as a thin, soft circle. The message goes inside immediately after baking. The cookie is folded and bent while it is still hot. Within seconds, the sugar and starch cool and harden. Wait too long and it cracks. So fortune cookie production is less like peaceful baking and more like an edible emergency drill. And after all that work, the message may simply say, "You enjoy learning new things. Thank you, cookie." Very specific. But without that fast shaping, the famous cookie would just be a sweet, flat disc. Peanut butter makes cookie dough rich, thick, and dense. That is why bakers often press the dough with a fork, creating the recognizable crosshatch pattern. The marks flatten the cookie so it cooks more evenly. Peanut butter contributes fat, protein, and roasted flavor, while salt keeps the richness from becoming dull. The spread used also matters. Commercial peanut butter behaves predictably. Natural peanut butter may contain separated oil, changing the dough. So those fork marks are not just decoration. They are tiny cookie roadworks. Biscotti are hard for one simple reason. They are baked twice. First, the dough is baked as a long log. Then it is sliced and returned to the oven to remove even more moisture. That second bake creates the dry, rigid structure. And this finally solves our opening mystery. A chocolate chip cookie bends because it keeps moisture. A biscotti becomes a small edible plank because bakers deliberately remove it. Dip it into coffee and the liquid softens the structure. Without coffee, traditional biscotti can feel less like dessert and more like a challenge issued directly to your teeth. So what makes these cookies so different? Usually, it is not one secret ingredient. It is how bakers control 5 things: fat, sugar, air, heat, and moisture. Brown sugar keeps chocolate chip cookies chewy. Low moisture makes Biscoff crisp. Butter makes shortbread crumble. Heat softens Stroopwafel syrup. Whipped egg whites lift macarons. A second bake turns biscotti into delicious building material. So choose Oreo for creamy contrast, chocolate chip for softness, Biscoff for crunch, shortbread for butter, Stroopwafel for sticky warmth, macaron for delicate texture, gingerbread for spice, fortune cookie for entertainment, peanut butter for salty richness, and biscotti for coffee, or emergency household repairs. The ingredients may look similar. What bakers make those ingredients do changes everything.